Throughout the centuries, humanity has looked to the sky, contemplated the complexity of nature, and explored the deepest corners of reason in search of signs that point to the existence of a supreme being. In every sunrise, in the whisper of the wind through the trees, in the majestic roar of the oceans, and in the eternal glow of the stars, the human heart has been filled with wonder and has asked with fervor, "Does God exist? Who is the architect of this vast universe, the creator of every leaf, every creature, and every galaxy that decorates the firmament?" Since ancient times, men and women of all cultures have sought answers to these questions. They have raised their eyes to the night sky, feeling a deep connection with the cosmos, and have tried to decipher the mysteries that seem to whisper among the stars. Have you ever wondered if, beyond the visible, there exists a being that lives in the recesses of infinity, a being whose essence is the source of all life, the author of the beauty that fills nature, and the origin of the intelligence that allows us to contemplate it? In the fragrance of a flower, in the song of birds, in the immensity of the oceans, and in the silence of the mountains, a divine echo is hidden that has inspired poets, philosophers, and scientists to search for a greater truth, a presence that transcends the material. Thus, humanity has continued its journey, always with the desire to discover whether deep within this vast creation there resides a mind, a heart, a higher consciousness that gives meaning to everything that exists. This sense of wonder and reverence towards creation, combined with the relentless search for answers, has driven generations to investigate the big questions. Who created all this? Where does the Creator live? Is it possible to know Him? This documentary delves into that eternal journey, exploring the 7 proofs that confirm the existence of God. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you every time we publish a new video. Let's start. Many believe that those of us who hold faith in God cannot offer solid evidence of His existence, assuming that our belief is based solely on faith without a rational foundation. Although faith in God is deeply personal and spiritual, that does not mean that reason and analysis are disconnected from our belief. In fact, faith and reason are not mutually exclusive. They can coexist and enrich each other. Often, many people have been prevented from experiencing an authentic and close connection with their Creator because of the misperception that proving God's existence is an impossible task. This limited vision has restricted the ability to explore and understand the relationship with the divine more deeply. Therefore, in this video, we want to present well-founded reasons that argue in favor of the existence of God, inviting you to open your mind and heart so that you can evaluate and reflect on this evidence. If you already have a relationship with God, we encourage you to strengthen your arguments and deepen your understanding of His existence. If you are looking for answers, this is the place to explore and reflect together. Now, here are 7 reasons for the existence of God. Number 1. The origin of the universe. The origin of the universe is one of the main reasons that suggest the existence of God. This argument, known as the cosmological argument, is based on the principle of causality. Every effect has a cause. According to this principle, everything that begins to exist has a cause. We know that the universe had a beginning, which brings us to the fundamental question, what caused it to exist? The cause of the universe must be incredibly powerful and transcendent, characteristics that we attribute to God. This premise of the cosmological argument is based on empirical observation and the common understanding that things do not happen without a reason. The idea is that if something exists, there must be a reason or cause that explains its existence. In his work Metaphysics, Aristotle introduced the concept of the unmoved mover, a first cause that moves but is not moved. According to him, to explain motion and change in the universe, there must be something that causes motion without being moved in turn. on his side. In the 13th century, Thomas Aquinas developed this argument more formally in his Summa Theologica. Aquinas presented 5 ways to prove the existence of God, of which the third is the cosmological argument. He argues that every movement needs a cause, and that this chain of causes cannot be infinite. There must be a first cause, which he identified as God. Now, in modern cosmology, the cosmological argument is related to concepts from physics, such as the Big Bang. The Big Bang theory provides a scientific explanation for the origin of the universe. According to this theory, the universe began as an extremely dense and hot point about 13,800 billion years ago and has been expanding ever since. Therefore, the Big Bang can be seen as a natural explanation for the origin of the universe, eliminating the need for a God as a first cause. Now, we will present arguments to refute the Big Bang theory. First of all, the Big Bang theory describes how the universe expanded from an extremely hot and dense initial state. But it does not resolve the question of why. The need for a cause or explanation for the Big Bang remains unresolved. In second place, time and space. The Big Bang marks the beginning of time and space as we understand them, but it does not explain what existed before the Big Bang or why it happened. If time and space began with the Big Bang, the question of what caused the Big Bang remains relevant. Furthermore, the Big Bang theory faces coherence problems in its description of the initial state and the transition to an expanding universe, leaving open the question of a transcendental cause explaining the origin of the universe. Now, the Bible is the primary source where it presents us with solid arguments. Let's read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This verse supports the idea that God is the primary cause of the universe. The Bible does not attempt to prove God's existence in an argumentative sense, but rather presents him directly as the creator of all that exists. Furthermore, in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 3, it states, "By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible." Faith offers the authentic account of creation, affirming that God, as the only one present from the beginning, reveals to us how creation occurred. The concept of God existing before matter and creating everything at his command is accepted by faith, as it is beyond the reach of reason and demonstration. Faith enables one to understand what reason alone cannot attain. According to this view, the universe was created entirely through the Word of God. Creation, as described in faith, holds that the visible was made from the invisible, a concept that remains steadfast despite scientific advances. Number 2, the precision of the universe. The design argument suggests that the universe is finely tuned to allow life. The physical constants and initial conditions are so precise that any small variation would make life impossible. For example, the force of gravity, the cosmological constant, and the electromagnetic force are so precisely tuned that even a slight alteration in their values would result in a universe incapable of supporting life. It's like an extremely complex watch. If you see a watch, you assume it was designed by someone. In the same way, the universe, with its precision, suggests an intelligent designer. Let us read in Job chapter 38, verses 4 and 5. "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding. Who ordered its measurements, if you know? Or who stretched out a line upon it? This passage reflects the precision and intentional design of the universe. God rebuked Job for speaking without wisdom and humbled him by making his suffering servant understand that human reasoning is no match for the infinite and eternal God. God would ask you the same questions, no matter how intellectual you are. The question of where you were at the origin of it all remains relevant. To debate the existence of God and deny it is absurd, as the human being is limited in comparison to a divine being who is infinite and transcendental. God cannot be fully measured or understood by the human mind. Physicist Paul Davies has said, "It looks like someone has tweaked the numbers of nature to make the universe. The impression of design is overwhelming." This testimony from a prominent scientist reinforces the idea that the design of the universe suggests the existence of a creator. Number 3. The existence of objective morality. The existence of objective morality is one of the most profound reasons to argue for the existence of God. This argument is based on the observation that there are universal moral values and ethical principles that seem to transcend individual and cultural preferences. The key aspects of this argument are outlined below. First of all, universal moral values. Objective morality refers to the existence of moral values that are universal and do not depend on personal or cultural opinions. These values include concepts such as good and evil, justice and injustice, which seem to be widely recognized by humanity. For example, most cultures and societies have similar notions of what constitutes a morally good or bad act, despite their differences. In second place, source of transcendent morality. If we accept that there are universal moral values, this suggests the presence of a source of morality that transcends humanity. Without a transcendental source, morality would simply be subjective and relative, varying from person to person and from culture to culture. In this sense, morality could not offer a solid and consistent basis for ethical judgment. In third place, God as the supreme moral legislator. In this context, God is seen as the supreme moral legislator who provides an objective basis for morality. The idea is that God, as an infinite and perfect being, establishes moral principles that are valid for all human beings, regardless of their individual or cultural beliefs. This provides a strong justification for the existence of universal moral standards. In fourth place, philosophical testimonies. Philosopher Clive Staples Lewis, in his book Mere Christianity, argues that the existence of a universal moral standard points to a divine source. Lewis makes a distinction between the laws of physical nature, which describe what is, and moral laws, which describe what ought to be. According to him, moral laws cannot be explained solely by physics or biology, since these laws describe a sense of duty and obligation that goes beyond the natural. Lewis also points out that the existence of a universal moral conscience, which seems to be present in all people, is indicative of a moral law written in the human heart. In his work, he mentions how even those who are not familiar with written laws still display an innate sense of what is morally right or wrong. This moral conscience is seen as a reflection of a universal moral law established by a supreme being. Now, let's read in Romans chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. For when Gentiles, who do not have the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, although not having the law, are a law to themselves, showing the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience bearing witness, and their thoughts accusing or otherwise defending them. These verses teach that even those who do not know specific religious laws still follow universal moral principles that are innately inscribed in their hearts. This suggests that there is an internal moral conscience that guides human behavior, demonstrating an innate understanding of right and wrong that transcends formal laws. Thus, the argument of objective morality suggests that the existence of universal moral values and human moral conscience point to the need for a transcendental source for morality. God, as the supreme moral legislator, provides a solid and objective basis for these moral principles that cannot be explained merely by subjective or relative factors. This perspective provides a coherent explanation for the universality and authority of the moral norms we share. Number 4. Information in DNA. The complexity of DNA is astonishing. It contains detailed and precise information that acts as a coded language for building and maintaining life. Each cell in an organism is equipped with a set of complex instructions that guide the production of proteins and the regulation of biological functions. This level of detail and organization is so precise that it resembles a code or an instruction manual, suggesting the need for an intelligent source behind this information. Now, information theory holds that extreme complexity in DNA cannot arise simply by chance. Such a wealth of information and organization would require a conscious and deliberate source. Just as a book with coherent and detailed text needs an author, the information contained in DNA points to the existence of an intelligent designer. This perspective argues that life, with all its complexity, could not have arisen without conscious intention. Michael B., in his book Darwin's Black Box, introduces the concept of irreducible complexity. Argues that certain biological systems are so complex that all their parts must be present and functioning from the beginning for the system to be viable. For example, the bacterial flagellum is a propulsion system that requires multiple components to function. Removing any of these components would render the system inoperable. He suggests that this complexity cannot be explained by gradual evolution and requires intentional design. Dear listener, let us observe what the Bible describes about this issue. In Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14, human creation is described with a sense of awe and wonder. For you formed my inward parts, you made me in my mother's womb. I will give you thanks, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am in awe, and my soul knows it well. This verse highlights the extraordinary complexity and perfection of the human body, suggesting the work of a divine creator behind life. The complexity of DNA and biological systems, coupled with the idea that some systems are irreducibly complex, suggests that all of this was intelligently designed. The information in DNA is so detailed and precise that it is difficult to explain by chance alone. This supports the idea that there is a conscious and deliberate creator behind life, who planned and created everything with purpose. Number 5. The spiritual experience. Throughout history, countless people have reported experiences that they attribute to encounters with the divine. These experiences are consistent and universal, crossing cultures and times. The crucial transformation in the lives of these people is powerful evidence of a divine reality. Dear listeners, no one can take away what I have experienced, because God manifested himself in my life and transformed my path in a profound way. He gave me a love I never knew before, and a peace that is truly beautiful. Knowing Jesus has been such a life-changing experience that nothing and no one can take that away from me. In Acts chapter 9, verses 3 and 5, we find the account of Saul's conversion. But as he journeyed, when he came near Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" He said to him, "Who are you, Lord?" And he said to him, "I am Jesus whom you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goads." This encounter radically transformed Saul's life, and he became the Apostle Paul. William James, in his book The Varieties of Religious Experience, documents how religious experiences have profoundly impacted individuals and societies. These experiences are not only life-changing, but also provide subjective but powerful proof of the existence of the divine. Dear listeners, we would love to hear stories of how God has transformed your lives in supernatural ways. How has it intervened in your daily experiences, providing peace, love, or direction at crucial moments? Share with us how you have experienced God's presence in ways beyond the ordinary, and how these experiences have impacted your life and faith. You can write your testimonies in the comments. Number 6. Miracles and supernatural phenomena. Throughout history, numerous events have been documented that defy natural laws, such as miraculous healings and unexplained events. These miracles, well documented and verified, are seen as signs of divine intervention in our world. In the Gospel of John chapter 4, verse 48, Jesus says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe." Miracles serve as tangible evidence of God's existence and power. A famous example is the miracle of the resurrection of Lazarus, among others. Miracles and supernatural phenomena offer a significant reason to believe in the existence of God. These events, by defying natural laws and being documented and verified, serve as concrete manifestations of divine power. Whether through biblical accounts, historical events, or modern research, miracles continue to be powerful evidence of God's intervention in the world. Number 7. The seventh and final reason is the resurrection of Jesus. The historical and testimonial evidence for this event is considerable. The resurrection is the foundation of Christianity, and its historical authenticity is strong. The resurrection of Jesus not only proves his divinity, but also God's power over life and death, offering definitive proof of his existence. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 3 through 6, Paul writes, "For I passed on to you as of first importance what I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again on the third day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 brothers at once, most of whom are still alive, though some have fallen asleep." Historians such as Gary Habermas have conducted extensive research on the resurrection of Jesus, gathering a variety of evidence supporting this central event in the Christian faith. One of the main sources of evidence for the resurrection of Jesus is the testimonies of those who claimed to have witnessed this event. Eyewitness accounts, including those of the apostles and other followers of Jesus, provide detailed descriptions of the resurrection and of Jesus' appearances after his death. These testimonies are found in the Gospels and in other writings of the New Testament, and have been the subject of analysis by historians and scholars. Another important aspect in the defense of the resurrection is the willingness of the apostles to face death for their faith in the resurrection of Jesus. According to historical accounts, the apostles and other early followers of Jesus were persecuted, and many suffered martyrdom. The willingness of these individuals to face suffering and death for what they believed to be real facts of the resurrection is considered significant proof of the authenticity of their beliefs. The radical transformation in their lives and their courage in proclaiming the gospel in adverse circumstances reinforces belief in the resurrection. Now, before the resurrection, Jesus' disciples were described as fearful and hiding, especially after the crucifixion. However, after the events of the resurrection, a dramatic change in their behavior is observed. They went from being fearful and hidden followers to becoming courageous proclaimers of the resurrection and the Christian message. This transformation is seen as an indication that something significant happened that deeply convinced them. The boldness with which they shared their faith, even at the risk of persecution and death, is interpreted as a powerful testimony to their belief in Jesus' resurrection. In addition to direct testimony and the impact on the disciples, documentary and archaeological evidence also plays a role in the case for the resurrection. The Gospels and other ancient writings, along with archaeological finds related to the historical context of the first century, offer additional information that supports the resurrection account. Studies on the authenticity of these documents and their consistency with the historical context reinforce the credibility of the claims about the resurrection. Therefore, the historical evidence for Jesus' resurrection includes eyewitness testimony, the apostles' willingness to die for their faith, the remarkable transformation of the disciples, and documentary and archaeological support. In our analysis of the 7 reasons that support the existence of God, we have addressed a series of fundamental arguments that range from the creation of the universe and the intricate complexity of life to the presence of an objective morality that transcends human experience. Each of these points provides a unique and valuable perspective on the possibility of the existence of a creator. And so we come to the end of this video. Thank you for being part of our channel. God bless you abundantly. Until the next video.